Gary Johnson is in the news, everyone. Here's the reason he shouldn't be in the news. Here's a video of him sitting down that's getting a lot of attention with someone from MSNBC. Take a look at his face.
And do you think if you were able to get on the debate stage that you could pull even with Trump and Clinton in these polls?
I do. And it wouldn't have anything to do with my debate performance either. It would just be that people would recognize that there's another choice and that there would be an examination of me and Bill Weld as who we are and what we've done, and not based on that. I think I could stand up there for the whole debate and not say anything and emerge as a leader.
So that happened.
Good call.
Yeah. So
this answer's going a little too well. Sabotaging. Yeah.
So Kasie Hunt's reaction on the spot was priceless.
It's like, what are you doing? What?
Right. So, having said that, I'm actually going to once again surprisingly defend Gary Johnson on this. I defended him on the Aleppo thing too, because they've now created a circus in which if you're not a juggler and you're not taming a tiger, nobody's going to pay attention to you.
Yeah.
So he has to do weird, outlandish things to get attention. And it's, but this existed back in the day too with the guy who threw the former Alaska governor who threw the rock into the pond and stared at it.
Mike Gravel.
Oh, Mike Gravel, yes,
remember that guy?
Yeah. Because they're all desperate for attention. And now with Trump, it's on steroids. So he's like, if I just say normal things, they won't run this, right? Yeah. I've got to do some weird thing to grab the attention and do stuff like this.
The last time I heard from Gary Johnson is when he was calling Trump a pussy.
Yeah, again, another case of where I got to go over the top. Otherwise, I'll get no one to report what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, I don't. It's funny. I'm going to defend Gary Johnson too, though not for no reason. I don't know that didn't strike me as I got to do something outlandish tactic. That just struck me like he hadn't gotten that point across, which he was making, which was interesting because he instead of saying how great he was, he said they just need to know, even if it has nothing to do with my performance. It's not like I'm going to kill him. They should just know there's an alternative. So he's saying I could be like Jerry Lewis and be an imbecile up there, and it still matters, because they'll realize that there's another point. So he was doing this, I could be this bad, right?
Yeah.
He just thought it was clever. It just wasn't.
He should have just said that.
Should have just said
He'd have just said it. I could be up there like Jerry Lewis.
Right.
You don't go, that's a lady!
Except, well, apparently he had said that, though.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be talking about it, and no one would be talking about it. So he's not really that wrong.
Yeah, but this is not.
But this is not helpful, you think. On the other hand, we're now discussing Gary Johnson. Any discussion of Gary Johnson probably does help him.
All right, well,
except for the
discussion we're about to have.
Right. So now
and I want to be clear about this. It's a good juxtaposition that we're about to talk about his policy on climate change. But we had planned this before he stuck his tongue out, etc. Now we want to show you what people should be talking about in regards to Gary Johnson.
Here is a clip of him talking about his stance on global warming.
Climate change. I think the world is getting warmer. I think that it's man-caused. That said, should we be engaged in cap and trade taxation? No, I don't think that we should. We should lend certainty to the energy field. We should be building new coal-fired plants.
Come on, man. I'm Gary. I smoke pot, man.
And here he is taking that to its logical conclusion.
Should we take the long-term view when it comes to global warming? I think that we should. And the long-term view is that in billions of years, the sun is going to actually grow and encompass the earth, right? So global warming is in our future.
Yeah, a couple billion years from now, but we'd like to actually live for the rest of our lives, our kids' lives. That's a little less relevant when the sun gets closer to us.
But you're thinking so short term right now.
I know.
Are you disagreeing that billions of years is long term? It just seems like that's your logic, sir.
It's a long game, short game, baby. That's all he's talking about.
Yeah.
So this goes to show two things. One, you should look into people's policies, okay? And for all the people saying there isn't much of a difference, sometimes there's a big difference. So libertarians, in this case Gary Johnson, flirted for a while with a carbon tax, and then conservatives nearly ripped his head off. We don't do any taxes. we do Lord of the Flies, and if you have the conch, we smash it over your head, and that's libertarian ideology, and we don't do any of that. So he's like, no, I didn't mean carbon tax. No. No, we're going to do not a goddamn thing about this, which is somewhat close to the libertarian ideology. And that's exactly what's wrong with libertarian ideology.
You know, we at some point, look, I mean, there's huge impediments to a meaningful third party in this country. It's why there's really never been one. And those impediments are the nonsensical way that we elect a president, but that's in the Constitution. That's going to be tricky for us to get around. But it would be interesting if someone led a third party who didn't have a kooky nature to them. Because even before Gary Johnson starts talking politics, and maybe I'm just trained to distrust someone outside the two-party system, I don't think so. But he's a little kooky. Jill Stein, to me, is a little kooky. Ross Perot, and did well, was kooky. There's no question. Kookiness was part of his thing. So I would like to see someone principled, whether it's from the Republicans or the Democrats, start that third party and not have a quirky quality to them. And I wonder whether that would make some difference. I wonder how much difference.
There was a time when there were third parties did. Abraham Lincoln ran as a Republican in the era of Democrats and Whigs.
Yeah, I know, but then the Whigs got crushed. We never had didn't for long have three meaningful parties. The Whigs became the Republicans.
Now, the Republican Party has been on the verge of fracture, or they are fractured right now, actually. That's what a lot of people are saying. That's why John Boehner left, and that's why Paul Ryan didn't want to come in, and they have to twist his arm. And so people are saying that if Donald Trump actually becomes president, it fractures their party completely.
You're saying that. I don't know that. I mean,
the editor of BuzzFeed said this, and so he said that they will become a regional party. And then Chris Hayes also said that. He goes, I believe this. Okay. I was shocked. I have the video.
Okay. So, look, we can debate whether that's going to happen and how it's going to play out and how you should have I think a third party could be successful if it was populist, actually reasonable. I know that's a lot to ask for. Well,
the ruling party in Greece right now, about 10 years ago, was polling at about the same 4%, and now they're ruling.
Right, but we don't. But we don't have the same system.
Right.
We have a parliamentary system.
Correct.
So what I'm saying, I agree that there might be, but my hunch is then that third party will end up enveloping one of the other parties, and we'll be back.
And it would have to be non-corrupt, yada yada. Okay, but let's focus on Johnson's climate policy here, because some libertarians are already super mad at us in the middle of this video, like, how dare you? The libertarian ideology is wonderful. You see, because after this planet melts down, then we'll know this was not the right planet. Then, then Mars wins several billion years from now, and that's the way it's supposed to go in the free market.
It's Mars kit forces.
So, guys, in all seriousness, that's exactly what's wrong. Because tragedy of the commons. Look, simple education, and look, I know I'm being too, harsh now, but because everybody can disagree even if they have great education, but. Tragedy of commons is, well, look, if I get to use as much of the commons as I want and there's no enforcement of anything else, I'm going to overuse the commons until we're kind of done with the commons. And so that is a obvious problem for the libertarian ideology. So here we have it both in terms of resources. The oil companies go, hey, listen, the planet might burn down, but I'm going to make my money now. I'm going to use it up, put the carbon in the air. I don't care, because I've privatized the profits, but I've socialized the costs. The costs are not going to be borne by oil executives. It's going to be borne by all of us. The costs go to 7 billion people on the planet. The profits go to the executives of the oil companies and so other people that work in the oil companies, et cetera. Okay? So then you have something that needs to be corrected there. You can't, even Adam Smith didn't say, hey, have at it, Hoss. He said there are things that happen in a normal free market like monopolies that you have to be aware of and control for. Otherwise, you'll have what is called anarchy. And libertarians get super mad when you say that, but that is the reality. They will keep on pumping the carbon into the air because it's not their problem. It's our problem. And then there's a temporal tragedy of the commons. I don't know if there's a better term for that. I made that up, but which is if I use up the planet's resources now and then the planet melts down in the next generation or 2 generations from now, not my problem. So as human beings, we are greedy. We are selfish. That's why I know I drive libertarians crazy, but you really do remind me of the communists. No, humans will do the right thing. No, as soon as we see that that there's problems, we'll fix things and then we will hold hands and we will sing Kumbaya and everything will be great. That's not how humans work. We're greedy little fuckers, okay? And we'll grab, destroy, and go put it in our pockets and go, hey, that's your problem, not my problem.
Yeah, for me, it's always refreshing to hear someone with like a pure approach to a certain ideology talk, because it's so rare that we hear that. It's so rare that we hear someone listen to your question, put it through their ideology, and spit out the answer without wondering what it sounds like. It is great. I never hear that. It's a time where like there are right answers I have to memorize and say it. But if you let this guy talk for long enough, it was the same thing I had with Ron Paul, where it's like, cool, you seem nice. Oh my God, how did we get here?